Hi, my name is Bob and I'm renovating this 1973 Egg Harbor Sportfish boat. Well, hello and welcome to Renovation Sportfish. I think before we jump right into the first episode fully, I want to do a little bit of a introduction to myself and the boat. So the channel really is to show the renovation of a 1970s style sport fishing boat by an amateur. Before I started this project, I had no experience restoring any kind of boat. I actually do CAD for a living, so I'm at a computer all day, and for me it's great to get out there and do a little bit of hands-on work on things. I like to do that kind of stuff. But the CAD will come in handy if I have to do, well, I don't say if, when I do sketches and things, which I do plenty of. I say renovation because I'm not really interested in restoring the boat to the original condition. I'm looking to update it as far as style, make it a little more sporty and clean looking. Actually upgrade all of the systems on the boat, wiring, engines, you name it, any kind of system on the boat. So my wife and I, Jennifer, we purchased the boat in 2011. We were looking to get something larger than we had an 18-foot bow rider. We wanted something with a head, a galley, a place to sleep, something we could take a little further than just going, up and down the river. We like doing that, or taking it to a lake, but we wanted to try something more. So we both like the 60s style, 70s style of boats. We like the larger windows, a larger cockpit area, and I really wanted a fiberglass hull. I didn't really want to get into a wood hull, only because I was a little more intimidated by that, not knowing anything about boats or boat construction. So I kind of wanted to stick to more of a fiberglass hull at least. But that said, I'm willing to do any of the work, and I have done a lot of, done everything on the boat myself. What did we end up with? Well, we ended up with a 1973 Egg Harbor 30-foot sedan sport fisherman, they call it. I'm just going to call it a sport fish. It has an 11-foot 6 beam. It has twin Chrysler 318 V8 inboard engines rated at 225 horsepower each. It's got a fiberglass hull. It's woven roving fiberglass. The cabin and deck are mahogany with plywood. The cockpit is teak decking with teak cover boards and teak trim. The interior cabinets are mahogany. And all in all, the boat was in pretty original condition, meaning not many things were upgraded on it. It was in poor condition, but some things are okay. The whole fiberglass was fine. It's more of the woodwork of the boat. Just suffered from a lot of leaking and just age, I guess. So anyways, with that, I hope you enjoy the videos. The first set of videos I'm going to put out, these first episodes, being that I bought the boat in 2011, I've been working on it, it's now April of 2019. I didn't really intend to do YouTube or anything like that, so I basically just took photographs and kept a journal. So the first episodes are just going to be that kind of format, photos with some narration, and I'm going to try to do things to try to make it a little more entertaining than just a slideshow here. But once I catch up, if I do one episode per year, I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to see. I'm new to video editing and all that too. I'll see, the format will be more of hands-on working on the boat, and I've already started shooting that type of stuff. So anyways, I hope you enjoy the videos, and now I guess we can roll into episode 1.
There is the first big issue to tackle.
Yeah, so starting with the deck was the logical place to start, because there was no way I could have done the windshield without doing the deck first, because the windshield is actually attached to the deck and conforms to the curvature of it and all that. So, I just decided that's what I had to do first, and watch along and see how I got that done. So once I got the first layer of the shear clamp in, I really had to get some sort of plan together for making some deck beams to attach this plywood to. Now, the original boat didn't have any deck beams. They just formed this plywood over some sort of form, stapling some thinner layers together with steel staples. You can see the staples coming out. You can see them in some of the photographs when I was taking the thing apart. And then they just stapled some strips of 3/4 inch plywood on there to staple their headliner to. So there was no real support for the deck other than its formed shape. I wasn't going to do that. I didn't even have any. I had no drawings to go by. I had nothing to use as a template. So I just took dimensions of sagging deck pieces best I could, put them in the computer, and tried to come up with a 3D model of some sort to get some sort of beam shape going. Some of them were just totally across the boat, but where the windshield was, it followed the windshield, so it was kind of a V shape and arching, which I didn't figure that out. I did the best I could. I got some dimensions together and made some templates, and figured I would start off by just using 2x material I could get at a big box store or a hardware store, and cut the pieces and lay them out. So that's what you're seeing in the photo. Just trying to lay those things out as best I could. Trying to establish the center line of the boat, which was difficult because everything was all over the place. This thing is not symmetrical. The center line varied. Oh man, it was really difficult to figure this thing out. It was all off by, up to half inch or more. So did the best I could, got something established, and got those beams out and realized that, I was got a lot of fairing ahead of myself with these things, because the deck is sloping back as it's coming back, and just getting all these things to sit right on the shear plates, and they're coming up at an angle, and wow, it was some brutal stuff. And at the time, all I had was a jigsaw, so I wasn't cutting this out on a bandsaw, and the jigsaw does not cut at a 90-degree angle, especially when you're on a curve. Found that out pretty quick. So I got it good enough together to feel confident enough to cut out the mahogany beams, and so that's what I did. I cut them out, but I made the mistake of cutting them all to the thickness that I had on my templates. Well, what I should have done was just cut the tops and left them long on the bottoms, and then once I faired it, I could just trace the uniform shape and get them all nice. So I didn't do that. And so at some points the beams are thinner and thicker, and I look at it now and I'm like, that looks terrible, but I'm gonna give myself a C for that. And it works, it's functional, but it's not the prettiest workmanship in the world, but it got the job done. So once I got this stuff done, it was the summer was over, and it was really time to start thinking about getting the boat re-shrink wrapped. One thing you don't see in these first photos is the bracing I put in. I put two 2x10 beams clamped onto the side windows, and then 2x going up to the ceiling beams, and clamped all that and screwed it to the floor wherever the floor was stable enough to do that. So anyways, that ended 2011. Didn't get as much done as I expected to, and found a lot more problems than I solved in the end, I think. Just moved on. 2012 was right there, and I just had big plans and kept plugging away at it. So before we wrap up this first episode, I have to mention that one of the big projects we actually did get completed the first year was Jen found an upholsterer, and we got all the upholstery redone for the inside of the cabin here. It's been sitting in the basement since then, waiting for me to finish off, so just really fending mice off so they don't make a house out of it. So after doing this editing and putting together this first episode, I realized I really didn't have as many photographs the first year as I had thought I had, so I apologize for that, and the lack of photographic content. But I looked at my folder for 2012, which will be the episode 2, and that has a lot more photographs. And speaking of that, what's going to be coming up in episode 2, we continue removing decking and the shear clamps along the gunnels and replacing some of those shear clamps. I think I might have got all the way back to the cockpit or close to it. The foredeck, I actually got some plywood decking on there. I also started working on fabricating and installing some rub rails up at the bow area. And the other thing was I started removing and replacing some of the cabin sole up at the V-berth area. So a little more variety, and that's what you'll be seeing in the next episode. So thanks for watching. Like it if you liked it, share it, and subscribe. And everybody have a good one, and we will see you soon.